Hey guys, before we go bananas with Brittany Nieman, the War Machine, let's thank one of our sponsors, Still Nutrition. Guys, check them out at nstillnutrition.com. Hopefully everyone's staying safe and staying home. So go to nstillnutrition.com, order what you need, all the products you need, all the supplements to keep the days going. I use the Joint Jiu-Jitsu almost every single day. 35 in my prime, feeling great. If they're good enough for fighters, they're good enough for us. So guys, check out nstillnutrition.com. All right, let's talk to the War Machine. All right, guys, here we go. We're going bananas with the War Machine. Brittany Nieman, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How about you?
Doing good, doing good. First of all, before we kind of get into MMA stuff and Corona stuff, you have the absolute greatest nickname for one before, and then the main story I'm going to tell you about this is my son, he's 3 years old. We watch literally Iron Man 1, 2, and 3 on a loop through Disney Plus, especially through this pandemic. So he's screaming War Machine, War Machine. So when we were going to do this, I was like, son, I'm going to talk to the War Machine tonight. And he's like, his face lit up. So you definitely have a fan in my 3-year-old son.
Awesome. That's so funny.
I know. I love it. I love it. Also, too, didn't I see one of yours had a birthday recently, right?
Yes. So I have 3 children. I have a 6-year-old daughter, which she just turned 6 yesterday. And then I have a second daughter who's turning 4 in June. And then we have our youngest daughter who will be 6 months in May.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, first of all, happy birthday to her. That's awesome. That's hopefully she had a great day. And I know it's really tough during this time, and you probably couldn't do what you guys would normally do, but happy birthday to her.
Thank you. Thank you. I will have to tell her.
Will do. Definitely. So let's kind of get into that, I guess. How is it to be a kick-ass mixed martial artist in the gym, being one of the toughest females alive, and then being at home, with a mom and doing everything of that nature? That's a unbelievable. We have 4 kids ourselves. So we have 2 boys. We just had twin girls on New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow.
So we know, and all of our time and effort and how much, it is being a parent, but to also have that passion of being a mixed martial artist. How do you, jungle those two?
Well, first, congratulations on your newborn. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, it helps. One is that they like to watch. So Niobe actually just started Jiu Jitsu. It was like a month before the coronavirus hit. So she was just starting Jiu Jitsu. So it helps that they love to come and watch our tournaments and when I fight. And it helps also that my dad's retired. So he's able to watch them when they don't come with us to the gym.
Dad of the year right there.
Yeah. So it definitely helps. And then my husband also, just the fact that we're supportive of each other. So we'll, take one night and we'll say, okay, you go to the gym and I'll stay home. So it just helps being able to have a flexible family and supportive family to be able to do both wanting to fight and doing jiu-jitsu and then also being a mom. So right. It definitely helps having family.
Absolutely. I concur with that. Real quick, one thing I didn't know about this is your husband, does he fight as well, or does he train, or?
So he used to do MMA before we met. Now he only does jiu-jitsu.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm getting hooked on the whole, jiu-jitsu scene. It seems like they're doing more mainstream events, especially with like UFC Fight Pass and kind of bringing UFC fighters involved with Submission Underground and Quint 10 Ultra. I'm really getting hooked. I don't know. I actually had last week, I don't know if you saw it or heard it, I had Christian Woodmansey on, one of the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu, instructors, and he kid's a stud. He's unbelievable. We just had him on. We had Danielle Kelly on early on this year. So we are super getting into it. It's one of those things that you don't know that you're a fan until you watch it or see it or talk to people. And then you're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So, if he's on that side, are you, okay, there you go there. Where's your origin story? How did you get into mixed martial arts?
So, it started with my dad. I always blame my dad for this, and he laughs. But he's a black belt in Taekwondo. So I went to all of his tournaments, and I also started doing Taekwondo in, was it Keto? Not Keto. Oh, wow. Kempo. So I followed him around and he would show me stuff, and I started doing classes, but I was always so shy when I was little, and I was a daddy's girl. So if I couldn't be like in class right up underneath him, I wouldn't do it. And obviously being a white belt and he's a black belt, we were not going to be in the same class.
Right.
So I kind of, I just ended up didn't want to take classes anymore, and he would just show me stuff behind the scenes. And so from there, I always wanted to box. And then MMA came out. And I'm like, wow, you can kick, you can wrestle. I want to do all of that. And I ended up meeting my husband. And so he started kind of integrating jiu-jitsu and different things from there. And we decided, okay, let's find a gym. And that's when we found a gym in 2015, because our oldest daughter was 1.
Okay.
And that's where we're at now, is Next Level Combat in Woodbury, Minnesota. So we started training there. And I trained there for about a year, almost 2 years, and I took my first fight.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing you said earlier too that I'm so intrigued about, because it's so a visceral statement. You're 100% yes or 100% no, and it's just so funny because everyone's so different on it, about your kids fighting. Like I said, we talked about it. We have an 8-year-old son, about the 3-year-old son, and twin girls. We have a local gym. We go there all the time. There's a boxing ring. My boys love it. They literally just run into the ring and they wrestle and fight. And some of my best friends in the whole entire planet are instructors and boxers and everything. So I'm like, we're all in. If my son ever wanted to do it, I would be like 100% yes, but you got to be all into it. You have to learn and train the right way and dedicate your life to it. And I would let him. How about you? You said your daughter's kind of getting into it a little bit. 20 years from now, she's like, hey, I want to be the UFC champion of the world. Are you support it? Yes or no? Or are you 100% in with that?
So yeah, I'm absolutely, not going to be a hypocrite. Like, I did it, you can't do it, and not only that, I'm bringing you around it. So I can't, not expect it to rub off on her. For me, I would love for them to be all into it the way that I am. So when I bring them, that's kind of my inside hope, is like, okay, I hope you guys catch on to it. But if anything, if it's the lowest thing that they could do is just do it for self-defense, they never want to compete, they never want to, go anything past that, I would be happy with that.
Right.
Because I want my girls to know how to defend themselves, especially in the world that we're living in now. They need to know how to defend themselves. So if that's where it starts and stays, fine. But if they end up, getting into it and want to compete and, really want to go far, absolutely. I'm going to give them everything I know and much more if I can.
Wow. No, that's awesome. That makes perfect sense. To kind of bring it back, last week I had UFC fighter Josh Emmett, one of the best featherweights in the world, on it. And we talked about this kind of thing about kids and getting into it, and especially about, younger girls, right? And I always thought wrestling to me is the best base. It's a great discipline. And what Josh said, he kind of, exactly what you said, he kind of mirrored it, was I want to teach younger females, especially grappling and jiu-jitsu. So, if you ever get into a spot that you don't like, out there in the real world or something bad happens, that's probably the best defense. Really quick, using other people's weight against them and all kinds of that nature. So it's funny that you said that too, because it's such a great skill, and there's so much technique that, you can be smaller and, out-pounded by 50, 70, 80 pounds and still take care of yourself. You know what I mean?
Right. That's all I roll against in the gym is everybody's 50, 60 pounds bigger. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and that's a good point too. Is it hard? I was going to say that in your gym, is there a lot of girls that you train with on the daily, weekly basis, or is it hard to find, great competition and, girls that train in your area?
So honestly, we have less than 10 girls. So there's obviously the little kids, and there's tons of girls in the little kids class, my daughter's age. And then next up, I think we have 3 teenage girls. And with me being an atom weight, 2 of them are my size.
Right.
And the rest, and then the other 2 are a little bit bigger than me. And then from there, we have about 5 to 6 females, including myself, and there's only 1 other MMA fighter. So there's not that many, and I believe I'm the smallest girl, if not the one girl smaller than me by maybe 5 or 10 pounds. Okay. But everyone else from there is bigger, and then of course the guys are all big guys.
Right.
So, so yeah, I'm very rarely ever going against somebody my size.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I also saw on your Instagram, War Machine. I saw that you were working out and you were doing a lot of home workouts, especially in this time. With the pandemic. So, for one, how are you keeping yourself physically trained and sharp? And not even that. If you can talk to the people, how are you keeping yourself mentally strong and mentally fit? Almost more of a like a personal question about it is. It's tough. Our daily routines are off. How are you keeping yourself busy and keeping hopefully a positive outlook on everything?
So for one, I'll kind of answer your questions going backwards a little bit. So how I'm staying positive is I rely heavily on my relationship with Christ. So I'm very just trusting in God, always in everything, no matter what the situation is. So that keeps me just at peace, not worrying, not being in fear mode or anything. So that's where my peace and my joy comes from. And then just having my family around, and we're just so close knit. And so it's a joyful thing in a way, that we're no longer having to kind of go here and there and there, it's like we're staying together. But how I stay fit mentally, I enjoy it. And I know that can be really the hardest thing for a lot of people, is if you don't really enjoy working out, it's just kind of, okay, I have to do this to stay in shape, or I need to, stay healthy, or the doctor recommends it. Sometimes it can be hard to get over that. So for me, I personally love that soreness of knowing that I lifted yesterday.
Right,
if I go too long without that, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going crazy, Like, I like that soreness. I like knowing I'm building muscle. I like looking in the mirror and saying like, hey, my triceps are popping more today, so that alone motivates me. And then I would say, like, far as like jujitsu and stuff like that, I have my husband hold mitts for me. We actually roll in our living room. I'll have my dad come over and watch the girls, and we'll even roll with my oldest Niobe sometimes. So we don't have mats or anything. There's not a whole bunch of space, but we just to get that jujitsu fix.
Right.
We'll roll with each other in the living room, and we'll hit mats and stuff. And we have like dumbbells and like resistant bands. And my husband was a trainer, so we just we do stuff at home. But yeah, definitely just having the desire to work. I already naturally have a desire to work out, and I would say I definitely get that from my dad. He would train and stuff and show me different things that he was doing. So it's just been instilled in me. So I legitimately enjoy it. So without being able to go to the gym, I would be finding something if I have to lift a chair or something.
Right.
Like I'm going to find a way to stay in shape and do stuff like that. So, and I just like to motivate people too. That's why I post a lot, is to show, even after 3 kids, like each time I've gotten my abs back. Babies don't ruin your body the way they say. They change your body, but you are, if you do things and work hard enough, you can keep it in shape, like I'm happy with the hips that I got from having babies, but I also kept my weight down. You know what I mean? So It's like, babies don't ruin you in a way where it's like, oh, I'll never get my body back. Yes, you can. You just have to put in the work. So that's why I always post my workouts and stuff.
No, that's awesome. For one, hey, any family that's practicing jiu-jitsu in your living room, I'm a fan. I told you, my son's a fan already with the nickname War Machine. I am becoming a fan just with this phone call with you. Guys, make sure you follow Brittany Nieman on Instagram, War Machine 0719. Give her a follow. Great workouts. Definitely great pictures of the family, so definitely a great follow on Instagram. But okay, all right. So I want to get into MMA. I want to dive all into it. 1-1, amateur. What's your what's the game plan? I know we are in this Corona pandemic. Hopefully we get out of it soon in this early summer. But what's your game plan for the rest of 2020? What's your MMA goals going forward?
Yeah. So eventually I had to explain to you where I got War Machine, because it was not from Iron Man, but I will answer your question. So my plans for MMA, I was actually talking with my manager, Gary. So I know I'm getting older. I'm not old, right? And I'm 29, but I do want to continue on with MMA. And I know atom weight right now is not like in the UFC. I don't know if I would like to move back up. My first fight was at 115, but I actually came in at 110, so I'm still small for 115.
Right.
So just kind of deciding where I want to go with my weight class. I'm kind of flexible right now. I do like the atom weight, just because I feel like, people cut weight a lot. And so if I'm going into 115, that person's probably going to come in the next day at 120, 130. And I know I don't carry that weight like that. So there's a little bit of a disadvantage for me. But in a way, I'm sometimes okay with that because they're cutting weight where I'm not really cutting weight. So there's that,
Yep, of course.
But I would like to take a few more fights before I go pro just to get over the nerves. I am my worst enemy. I get in my own head. I play through everything. Well, am I going to win or am I going to, I don't want to let anybody down. And so just learning how to deal with that and to learn to just go out there and whatever happens, happens. I think losing my last fight helped me to kind of realize losing sucks, but it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something that you have to worry about so much before the fight. It sucks, but you'll get past it. If anything, you'll learn from it.
Right.
But I would like to, get a few more fights. I would love to refight her, the girl that I lost against. I feel like that fight was taken from me a little bit. And that's nothing against her.
That's Amanda Byers, right? Amanda Byers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's nothing against her. That's not saying that she didn't do her job. I just believe the ref stole that from me.
Okay.
So I would love to fight her again eventually. But yeah, I definitely want to get some more fights underneath my belt and then eventually go pro and just see what happens. If they open up an atomweight in the UFC, I would love to go there. I personally, which is shocking to me, I think I'm a better jiu-jitsu artist. I loved striking before I started jiu-jitsu, and then when I did jiu-jitsu, I fell in love with it, and I just feel like my body flows with it so naturally. So even if I wasn't to go all the way to the UFC, I would love to continue on and become big in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
So I'll admit I'm kind of open and leaning a little more towards jiu-jitsu as I get older because it's something that I don't see myself quitting. Like, I could see myself at 70 years old still competing, staying in shape,
Sure.
MMA, probably not because it's harder on your body.
Right. You don't want to get an elbow at 68
but
years old.
jiu-jitsu is something I definitely see long term. So when I look into the future, it's like, okay, MMA is definitely something I want to continue, but at some point maybe I will drop that off. Still fight, still help people train, behind the scenes, stuff like that, but focus more on jiu-jitsu and getting big in that.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Like I said, we talked about it before. It's just becoming so mainstream. There's so many, organizations that are popping up, paying really well, on UFC Fight Pass and going on. I talked to a couple of them about, I really think they should create a league. There should be a UFC league, right? Zuffa, they should buy an event, and then they should have a lot of the UFC people, guys and girls, right, and kind of keep them busy, keep their names hot too. And it's just really good to bring up super fights, and then even, of course, have a whole jiu-jitsu side, female side, and weights. I think it's gold. I think we will get to that hopefully sooner than later for more people. I'm all into all the fighters making more and getting more spotlight. You guys, what you guys do to your body day in and day out, year in and year out. One of my good friends in the business, his name is Pete White. One of the things he said to me years and years ago, and it's stuck to me to this day, and I almost say it all the time, the one thing that, being a mixed martial artist, the only thing that's guaranteed is that you will get injured. You will get hurt. Right. It happens. It takes a toll on your body. So it's just, I've always remembered that. So I'm always so pro fighter, getting the best. Back to the amateur side of it is, I'm a big fan too, and I don't know if you're this way or not, and you said you wanted to fight Amanda again, and that's awesome. I love always trying to get that back. I love amateur fighters fighting the best and in different styles. It's great you should fight a wrestler. You should fight the best boxing female out there in the state, whatever, and get all these different things out. So now you know what you need to work on, okay, I can take that in the game. So when you do turn pro, you're ready to roll. You're ready to get one or two, hopefully jump in Invicta. Invicta FC has been so great for females. And then, boom, it's PFL or Bellator or the UFC, and then see what happens, right? So definitely agree with that. Especially it's like I want to have 3 more kids, so I gotta.
I got to get my fights in. So
hey, we have twin girls. You guys can come here and babysit anytime you want. Oh my goodness. That's awesome. Well, definitely God bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Talking about fighters and female fighters, what female fighters did you watch early on, or maybe even still to this day, that you're like, oh my, when Rose Namajunas fights, I can't miss it. She definitely gets my pay-per-view money. Or was there someone 8 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe a Gina, maybe a Ronda, maybe whoever. Who was it for you that really captured, your spirit of you trying to be a mixed martial artist?
So I believe Ronda would have been my first female artist, and I fell off the fan boat with her when she started to get cocky. I do not like cocky fighters. I like humble fighters. I mean, obviously you have to be confident in this game.
Sure.
So I'm not saying that, but there's a fine line between confidence and cocky. And once she kind of got to that cocky and got big head and just, fed into herself, that's when I'm like, okay, no, now somebody has to beat you. But before Holly even became the name to come fight her, I fell in love with her behind the scenes. I love head kicks. I love head kicks.
Amen.
And again, I come from that Taekwondo background. So any type of special kicks like Wonder Boy, those type of karate styles, I love that. So as soon as I saw her as an amateur, I fell in love with her and followed her in her amateur career coming up. So she's definitely one that I've watched, and I like Rose, like you said. I just love those humble, spirited fighters who are tough and just go out there and, put their heart on the canvas. So yeah, definitely. I started with Ronda, but Holly is definitely one that I stands out to me now, even though I think she needs to leave her gym and find somewhere that's going to give her a little more well-rounded. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. Talking about heart, how amazing was that Joanna Jędrzejczyk Weili fight? That was not even one of the best female fights of all time. It's just one of the greatest mixed martial artist fights of all time. It was incredible. I still to this day, we're actually doing right now a UFC bracket of the best fights ever, and it's still in there. I think we're down to the 8 best fights ever, and it's still in there. One of the greatest fights ever. What was your take on it? Did you watch it live? What were you thinking? What was your emotions watching probably the greatest female fight of all time?
So I was going for is it Wally? I always say her name wrong. Weili.
Weili, yep. Jung Weili.
I was going for her, honestly, because again, I don't like cocky fighters, and Joanna is probably one of the cockiest female fighters. But I just love the heart of both of them. Just how they both went at it. Nobody backed down. And just seeing that even when you're kind of, I would say a newcomer like Weili is, and kind of, people didn't really give her a lot of credit. It's like, oh, who's this girl? What is she going to do? It shows that don't let people from the outside judge you. As long as you're putting in the work behind the scenes, you know how well you're going to do. And she showed that. She showed that she didn't have to be this big name to beat a big name. She came kind of out of nowhere for some people. And I just enjoyed just both their hearts. Even Joanna, she fought her heart out. And I had to give that to her. She definitely fought her heart out, and they both did. So I enjoyed it. I was on my toes each round, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And to see 2 women fight, which I think a lot of people would probably say like men, it was yeah, girls can do this too. And I think it makes Dana kind of regret when he said he would never let women come into the UFC. It showed no, we are here to fight too, and we will put on a show just as good as these men will.
Oh, absolutely. I not even question. I know for a fact he regrets saying that. That was such a barbaric thing to say, 8-10 years ago, whenever he did say it. And now the females just keep proving him wrong and proving him wrong. It's just, I'm one of those guys now. Even there's a huge card coming up, this UFC 249/250, the 2 fights on there, the Michelle Waterson fight. And then, of course, one of my dear friends in the whole game is Felicia Spencer, her versus Amanda Nunes. Oh, my goodness. I cannot wait for that fight.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm going for Felicia on that one.
Us too. And Amanda's great. one of the threads here for the show, Fight Bananas, for probably the last 16, 18 months. I actually think Amanda Nunes is, in a way, underrated. She doesn't get the, respect on the pound-for-pound list, and everyone thinks she's one of the greatest females ever, and she is. But I don't think she gets the respect for being one of the greatest mixed martial artists ever. But I think Felicia Spencer is going to punch her ticket. I just have this great feeling about it and how she's going to get it done. Bring the fight down, gritty and dirty, and third round, fourth round, fifth round. I think Felicia's going to get the job done. I think it's going to be a major, major upset. I really do.
I'm hoping she does. I've been wanting Amanda to lose that, even though, like you said, she deserves her credit beyond what she's been getting, but I'm definitely going for Felicia on that one.
Awesome. We're with you. I got one last question for you, but before we get to that final question is, guys, we're talking to Brittany Nieman, the War Machine. We've brought it up 3-4 times. I would love to hear this story. How did you get the greatest nickname in mixed martial arts, War Machine?
So my name, I was trying to figure out for my first fight, everybody has a nickname. What should my nickname be? And I still hadn't had a fight name, and it was probably a month out before my first fight was coming against Jesse. And so my dad's longtime friend, who he met actually through martial arts, who I call my uncle, his name is Aaron. We kind of were going to him, and he was giving me advice before my fight coming up. And he was like, you got to train your body, you got to train your body to be a war machine. So when you go out there, your body just turns into a war machine. And as soon as he explained that, I said, that's my nickname right there. I want to be a war machine, because I think it matches whether you win or lose. You have to be a war machine out there. And to me, it just has that gritty name that even if I was to lose, you can say she really went to war. She fought like a war machine. And I just fit all across the board for me. So that's why that's how I got that name and chose it.
Wow. My goosebumps have goosebumps right now. I love that. I love that. Brittany, wow. We appreciate you so much for coming on. You talked about the family and everything going on. We really do enjoy and appreciate your time. But my last question for you, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. If I'm talking to Dana White or great promoters across the board, I know a couple promoters I talk to literally on a daily basis. If you had 30, 45 seconds to sell yourself, to get the most money or to get the most eyes on you or to get a great spot, what would you tell the promoter? What would you say? What would you say to get you on the right card or the right fight? What would you want to let the promoters know about yourself?
Oof, that's a really good question.
Yes, ma'am.
So what I would say is, if you put me out there, I am going to put on a show, first of all. My name itself, War Machine, says it. I am going to make the fight a war. I'm going to fight my hardest. I'm as best as I can not give up. I know people call tapping giving up, but I'm going to go as far as I can to win. And of course, I'm going to make people want to come back and see me win or lose. People are going to want to see the War Machine fight, and I'm going to get you your money's worth when it comes to fighting.
There you go, guys. Make sure you follow the War Machine, guys. I'm telling you, War Machine on Instagram, 0719. Give him a follow on Facebook. All promoters head that way. I know Gary Brown, reach out to him. Combat News, definitely, we want to see more of Brittany Nieman coming in 2020, 2021. We are so excited for your future.
Thank you so much. And can I just give a quick shout out to my sponsors?
Oh, you can have an hour. The floor is absolutely yours.
Okay, so first I have to give a shout out to Coach Shelton Harrison, who was my first sponsor ever, my first interview ever. When I had my first amateur fight, he contacted me out of the blue, and I was like, you what? You want to interview me, this amateur fighter from Minnesota? So I have to give a shout out to him, CSH Combat Sports, and then of course to Punch Gunk Combat News, like you said, who's connected to my awesome manager, Gary Brown. And then also Bad Chicks MMA and Fighter Alias. I have to give them a shout out for always supporting me, even during this time where I'm not fully fighting, obviously, because of coronavirus. They're still supporting me. They even sponsored me for the Jiu Jitsu tournament I was supposed to be in, but the coronavirus messed that up. So, but I just want to thank you personally for this interview, for being willing to interview me.
Oh, absolutely. You are welcome here anytime. Next time you get a fight going, definitely call us out. You can call me personally. You got my number now. Call me anytime you want. We really do appreciate your time. Hopefully you and your family is safe. We'll get through this, and hopefully, we'll talk on the other side.
All right. I appreciate it.
Awesome, Brittany. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. That was it. That was a great interview with the War Machine. Man, I think my son's going to like that one. I'm just going to tell him that I literally talked to War Machine for 30 minutes, and I think I got a new subscriber. Hey, one subscriber at a time. Talking about subscribers, guys, thank you so much. We are halfway through April. We are halfway through. I know people are home. Hopefully they're staying home, staying safe. The corona pandemic is a real thing. We're turning out content. We're getting it out. We're YouTubing. We're downloading. We're podcast galore. Fight bananas. But to already have the most downloadable month, the most viewed month, it just blows my mind, especially when we went to February and March, and I thought we're not going to surpass March. Our March was incredible. We had tons of content, especially at the end with Dean Thomas, Phil Rowe, Charles Rosa, Boston Strong, my main man, Philly Fresh Rowe. I thought there's no way. Boom, we skyrocketed right by. April has been bananas. So thank you so much. We are beyond blessed here at the Fight Bananas podcast. We got a lot of stuff coming up next week, a lot of great content. So we are so excited. And one thing we're excited about is Warhammer Fightwear. They've been with us since day one. Guys, check them out at warhammerfightwear.com. Guys, if you're like Brittany and you're working out, you're grinding, you're doing a lot of jiu-jitsu, you're going to the gyms, get the leggings. Go to Warhammer Fightwear, get those leggings. They're bananas. Also, if you're just a guy, you need a nice little tee, little dry fit tee that I wear, the Warhammer, get that. If you need something for the kids or a hat, guys, go to warhammerfightwear.com. My name is Dave Van Auken. We are crazy about fights. Be blessed, stay safe, and always stay bananas.